got February named after me. February.
I may be out of season for the holidays related to this movie, but I really doubt I'm out of season for people watching it. Hey everyone, sorry to have such terrible mic quality and for you to hear something in the background, which is the ever-infamous radiator. But this just happened as I was scrolling through my phone, which is why this audio is recorded on my phone. They just announced a novel that is a sequel to The Nightmare Before Christmas. So the joke of this video being poorly timed doesn't make sense anymore. Lovely. If you know the Disney animated canon, you're familiar that this film came out during the Renaissance era, and also that it's not counted within the canon. It's one of 3, maybe 4, films that I feel are both so beloved and so well made that they should be considered part of the Renaissance era. And funny enough, the 2 I've now made videos on both happen to be the Christmas-themed ones. As Henry Selick's second best film, it completely oozes charm. There's a way only he can direct stop-motion puppets to move, and every frame of Nightmare Before Christmas shows that off perfectly. Selick's personal best for me is Coraline, and as you can see here with these side-by-sides, you get what I mean. Only Selick can move clay puppets like this. Burton gets confused as the director a lot, and I'll be nice and say I do get why. Burton did write the original poem, I believe helped with the adaptation work, and was a producer and an animator. It's Selick's movie, but there is a lot of Burton's signature stamp here too, making a perfect, beautiful marriage of a film. Coraline may be my favorite stop-motion film ever made, but Nightmare is honestly easily my second. If there is a third, the gap would be pretty wide. The music in this film fits so well. Atmospheric little bits as well as the swelling musical numbers.
Making Christmas. I say that we take a cannon, aim it at his door, and then knock 3 times, and when he answers, Santa Claus will be no more.
Is it steel? Are there locks?
Is it filled with a pox?
A pox? How delightful, a pox.
If you please.
On my watch for this video, I'll be honest with you, I ended up singing along like the total dork I am. The animation is matched by this unique art style. Neither Selick's nor Burton's later stop-motion films look quite like this. Coraline moves like Nightmare, but it doesn't look like it. And poor Corpse Bride is halfway there, but still pretty far from the mark at the same time. I'd say my thoughts on the full-length Frankenweenie, but A, I'll save that for its own video, and B, I've never actually seen it. The character design is kind of unbelievable. Take a look at some of the characters and remember these are clay models. I know there's wires in there, but I still can't understand how they can stand and move without breaking. Nothing seems proportionate after you look long enough, and that really sells this extra otherworldly appeal. So this is where I should say if I have any complaints, huh? Yeah, I don't really love Oogie Boogie.
What?
Hear me out. He does have a personality, but I also find him just a bit flat, which is weird not just for the fact that I contradicted myself, but also accounting that his personality is that of a big and bombastic villain with a cool song. I think I can explain that with this. My first impression of him wasn't from the movie. It was actually, funny enough, a better introduction to him. I knew about this film for years as a kid. It was a trailer before, I believe, my VHS copy of Pinocchio. But I never bothered watching it. But I did end up playing Kingdom Hearts 1. I fell in love with the world and decided to finally dive into the film. But like I said, I got an impression of Oogie Boogie that I still feel is better than the actual movie. For one, I'm half positive he's in the game for longer. Oogie is barely in both, but I do think his runtime is longer, specifically in just the cutscenes. It would be cheating to count the gameplay, because you could lose to him several times or whatever. I'm strictly saying just the cutscenes I think might actually be longer of a runtime than he actually gets in his feature film. He also gets to be a more direct threat, which leads to my second point. You see, one of the problems I have with Oogie and really connecting with him as a villain is that Oogie is actually here because of an adaptation necessity. The original story was a poem, and there wasn't an antagonist. There was a villain, though. The same villain is in this movie, too. Jack. Have him all we want, Jack is a villain protagonist. An anti-villain with a sympathetic reason. But do remember, he's the one who ordered the kids to kidnap Santa Claus. Now they may be called Oogie's boys, but Jack is the one who hires them to kidnap Santa. Take Oogie out of the equation and that plot point still happens. It's Jack's fault, and it's Jack's evil deed. Everything after is still his fault anyway, which is why him returning to save Santa is his redemption arc, same as in the poem. And I guess there is a very minor argument that you could have just kept Lock, Shock, and Barrel as the final villains. But a movie is a movie, and movies tend to have big final fights with the villain, so I can understand why keeping no villain like the poem, or making some kids the final villain, might not be as exciting for a purely visual medium. At the end of the day, I know I just said I don't know if I entirely agree with it, but I understand it, and maybe it was the right call to have Oogie Boogie as the original villain for the movie. I just wish he was in the film more, and that I felt his presence was, well, more threatening and more villainous. It's there. He's very evil. I can get a sense that he's dangerous, but I'm left feeling like there could have been more. I think I'm in the minority here. Most people seem to love Oogie Boogie, and I can't blame them. I see it. It just doesn't entirely work for me. Heck, I'll even be pedantic. If you came up to me and said, "Hey Wyatt, who is your favorite, all-time favorite, big, bombastic, animated, carnivorous, villainous character who shows up out of nowhere, is voiced by Ken Page, and has a big fun song. Who is your all-time favorite?" I bet it's Oogie Boogie, and I'll say, not even in that category. Although, come on though, really? Are you really gonna argue Oogie Boogie over King Gator? I mean, come on, I feel like I can't be the minority on that one. It's King Gator. Don't tell me you don't even know who this is. Just want to say it again. No hate for the Boogeyman. I just wish I loved the Boogeyman, because I also love everything else. Well, the point of this video series is to rank every single Disney film, be it within the canon, be it one typically mainstream for them, or be it something totally off the wall, not something you actually tend to think about. And this one kind of fits none of those categories because it's one of their most popular and beloved films despite not being in the animated canon. But you know what? I had a lot of fun covering it anyway. Congratulations, Pumpkin King. You are now at the top of the list. You've got some stiff competition, and you won't be there forever, but you've thoroughly earned it for right now. 4.5 stars out of 5.
He's nipping at your nose. When you hear his icy sound, then you know Jack Frost is here.